Okay, and I guess before we start taping, and we were talking about food shaming. Can you go into like what you don't like about the approach of how a lot of health food advocates are going about it?
It goes back to what I was saying previously about choice. I believe in the research that I do that we need to adopt multiple strategies because people are very complex beings. There are no two of us really. There's no two of us that have the same footprint, fingerprint, thought pattern. And so it's always mind-boggling to me that when I'm around food advocates, there's a particular strategy that they think is going to resolve the ills of the food world. And that's usually somewhere between the continuum of grow your own food or buy your food at a local market. That's not always practical. It's not always desirable. It's not even realistic for a lot of folks. And so what I think ends up happening is sometimes we end up with these, what one author calls food police, even though people don't necessarily always mean to do that, but the dictums that say you should do and you must do and we should eat the way our grandparents ate. If half of us ate the way our grandparents ate, we'd be dead. For one, because you just can't eat cornbread with pork grease anymore. It would clog your arteries and so forth and so on. Our grandparents moved way more than we do. They had a different kind of foodstuffs, even though it's the same foodstuffs. And so what I end up finding is that when folks don't adhere to this particular dictum or way of being, that there is a sort of shaming that goes along with that. There's a sort of, oh my gosh, then you know you can die from obesity. Well, we're all going to die. How a person chooses to leave this world, in some instances, needs to be their personal choice. For the rest of us, that would cause, a great deal of sadness and a great deal, but that's still their choice. And it goes back to what I said earlier about we don't allow people enough personal choice. It's funny because, you say, well, what about, you're strained on the healthcare system. Many people are strained on the healthcare system because they've lived lives where they were sedentary. They've lived lives beset by inequality, systemic unemployment, all kinds of things, environmental racism, environmental injustice. There are so many things, so many factors. So to allow or to put on people food as the thing that's going to kill them, I think it's actually rather unfair, quite honestly. Because food has the ability to provide pleasure as well as pain. And when we put ourselves in the position of dictating to other people how their pleasure and their pain needs to be modified, I think then we are, in effect, being rather one-dimensional in our thinking, and actually doing more harm than good. And so, we say, well, our kids don't know enough about, what's fresh, there are so many reasons they don't know that. TV. When we grew up, the era through which I came, you had educational shows who helped, to provide that information. You had home structures that helped to provide that information. You had communities that provided that information. For us now to think that the only way that children should get that information is through the local farm, it's really interesting to me. And so what I think we see is the shorthand. This is the short but most immediate and effective way. For some people, yes, but not for everyone. And so I just like to caution people to remember that we're dealing with people, we're dealing with the complexities of people's lives, and how we might perceive our information to be best distributed to them may very well not be the case. And we need to allow people flexibility in receiving and following the information that we try to share with them.